Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, life often comes with unexpected twists and turns. Sometimes doors we desperately want to walk through close right in front of us. It's easy to feel discouraged, defeated, and even question the plan. But remember, when God shuts a door, it's not the end, it's a setup for something greater. A closed door isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's so easy to misinterpret a closed door as a sign that something is wrong or that you've been overlooked. Maybe you poured your heart into a relationship, but it didn't work out. Perhaps you were hoping for that big promotion, and it went to someone else. In those moments, it's natural to feel like life is against you. But what if that closed door isn't meant to harm you? What if it's part of a bigger divine plan to steer you towards something even better? When God shuts a door, it's not because He's punishing you or denying you something good. Instead, He's redirecting you toward the path He has designed specifically for you. Think about it. God's perspective is infinitely greater than ours. He sees the entire picture while we only see a small piece. What may feel like a setback or rejection to us is often a strategic move by God to protect us or lead us to greater opportunities. That closed door might be sparing you from heartache or wasted time or even danger that you cannot yet see. Sometimes we get so attached to our plans that we fail to recognize when they're not aligned with God's best for us. We pray for that door to open, we knock repeatedly, and we push with all our strength, but nothing seems to work. It's in these moments that we have to trust that God knows what He's doing. A closed door isn't a sign to give up, it's an invitation to shift your focus. It's a divine nudge to say, this isn't where I want you to go. I have something better in mind. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He faced countless closed doors, sold into slavery, wrongfully accused, thrown into prison. Each one of those moments could have seemed like rejection, but in reality, they were redirections. Every closed door moved him closer to his ultimate purpose of becoming a leader in Egypt and saving countless lives. What looked like dead ends were actually stepping stones in disguise. In our own lives, those redirections often come with lessons we need to learn. Sometimes a closed door is God's way of developing our character, strengthening our faith, or teaching us patience. We may not understand it in the moment, but every closed door is part of the process. And while it might feel like you're being held back, God is setting you up for something greater than you can imagine. It's also important to remember that not every opportunity is meant for you. Just because a door looks appealing doesn't mean it's the right one. God knows which doors will lead you to peace, joy, and fulfillment, and which ones won't. Trust that He knows what's best for you, even when it's hard to let go of what you thought you wanted. God sees what we can't see and protects us from unseen dangers. Life is full of situations where we think we know what's best, where we plan every detail and believe we're heading in the right direction. But there's a bigger picture that only God can see. While we're focused on the immediate, what's in front of us, God sees the obstacles and dangers that lie ahead. When He shuts a door, it's not to hurt us or hold us back. It's to protect us from something we may not even realize is there. Imagine driving down a road that's suddenly blocked. At first, you might feel frustrated, wondering why you can't just go through. But what if that roadblock is keeping you from driving into harm's way? Maybe there's an accident up ahead or the bridge is out and the only way to stay safe is to take a different route. That's how God works in our lives. When He closes a door, it's often because He's shielding us from something that could cause us harm, whether it's a wrong relationship, a toxic situation, or an opportunity that looks good on the surface, but isn't part of His plan for us. Sometimes we become so attached to our own desires that we don't stop to consider what God might be protecting us from. We push and push, trying to open a door that He has intentionally closed, not realizing that stepping through it could lead to heartbreak or disappointment. It takes faith to trust that His no is actually a blessing in disguise. We have to remember that God's ways are higher than our ways, and His perspective is far beyond what we can comprehend. Think about the story of Jonah. He wanted to run away from God's plan, and he tried to take matters into his own hands. But God intervened, shutting doors along the way to redirect him back to his purpose. What Jonah didn't understand at the time was that God's plan wasn't just about him, it was about saving an entire city. In the same way, the doors God shuts in our lives aren't just about us. Sometimes He's protecting us so we can fulfill a greater purpose that we can't see yet. There are also times when God protects us from moving forward too soon. A closed door might mean that we're not ready for what's on the other side. Maybe there are skills we need to develop, lessons we need to learn, or areas where we need to grow. Rushing ahead without preparation could lead to failure or missed opportunities, but God in His infinite wisdom keeps us safe by slowing us down. It's not always easy to accept, especially when we feel so certain about what we want. But faith requires us to trust that God knows what He's doing, even when we don't understand. Those closed doors are not acts of cruelty. They're acts of love, protecting us from situations or outcomes that aren't meant for us. Every no is preparing you for a better yes. Life is full of moments where the answer we hope for, prayed for, and even worked for turns out to be no. It can be disappointing, even heartbreaking, to face rejection or a closed door. But what if that no isn't the end of the story? What if it's just a step in the process, a way of setting you up for something far greater than you imagined? When God says no, it's not because He's denying you, it's because He's preparing you for the yes that aligns with His perfect plan for your life. Think about how we sometimes rush into things, convinced we know what's best. We get attached to our timelines, our goals, and our dreams. But God sees what we cannot see. He knows the future, and He understands what's truly best for us. The no you're facing could be God's way of redirecting you toward an opportunity that's more fulfilling, more meaningful, and more in line with the purpose He has for your life. The disappointment you feel now might be the very thing that prepares you to receive something better. Sometimes the no is necessary because we're not ready for the yes. If God gave us everything we asked for exactly when we wanted it, we might miss out on the growth, maturity, and strength we need to sustain the blessing. There's a process involved in getting to the right yes. A farmer doesn't plant seeds and expect an immediate harvest. There's a waiting period, a time for nurturing, and a season for growth. The same is true for us. The no isn't the end, it's part of the process that shapes us into the person who can fully embrace and appreciate the yes when it comes. Think about the story of David. When Samuel anointed him to be king, he didn't step into the throne immediately. Instead, he faced years of waiting, challenges, and even rejection, but those no moments were preparing him for the yes of his destiny. Every trial he faced developed his character, strengthened his faith, and equipped him to lead with wisdom and courage. If David had been given the throne too soon, he might not have been ready to handle the responsibility. In our own lives, it's easy to focus on the disappointment of the no and forget that God is always working behind the scenes. He's orchestrating events, aligning people, and creating opportunities that will lead us to the right yes. The closed doors, the delays, and the detours are not wasted. They're part of a bigger plan, a divine setup that's working for your good. What feels like rejection is often God's way of making room for His best in your life. It's a way of clearing out what doesn't belong so that you're ready to step into something greater. The no is not meant to discourage you, it's meant to position you for a yes that will exceed your expectations. Closed doors build character, patience, and trust in God's timing. It's not easy when we face a closed door in life. Our natural response is often frustration, disappointment, or even questioning why things didn't work out the way we hoped. But those moments, as painful as they may seem, are opportunities for growth. They shape who we are and deepen our reliance on God. A closed door is not just an obstacle, it's part of the process that develops the qualities we need to step into our destiny. Patience is often one of the first lessons we learn through a closed door. When things don't happen on our timetable, it forces us to slow down and trust the process. We live in a world that values instant gratification, but God's timing operates differently. He's never early, never late, but always on time. Waiting on God teaches us to let go of our need for control and lean into His perfect plan. It's during the waiting season that we learn to depend on Him, to seek His guidance, and to develop a faith that isn't shaken by delays or setbacks. Character is another area that grows when we face a closed door. It's easy to stay positive and keep moving forward when everything is going your way, but true character is revealed in how you respond when things don't go as planned. Do you give up, complain, or become bitter? Or do you trust that God has a purpose in the delay? Closed doors refine us, teaching us perseverance, humility, and gratitude. They strip away selfish ambition and help us align our desires with God's will. The challenges we face along the way prepare us for the responsibilities that come with the blessings God has in store. Trusting God's timing is perhaps the greatest lesson a closed door can teach us. It requires us to believe that He knows what's best, even when we can't see the full picture. Trust is built when we let go of our own plans and embrace the uncertainty of God's plan. It's in those moments of uncertainty that we draw closer to Him, learning to hear His voice and follow His lead. Each closed door becomes a reminder that God's ways are higher than our ways, and that His plans are always for our good. Look at the life of Abraham. God promised him that he would be the father of many nations, but years went by without any sign of fulfillment. Every delay, every closed door was a test of Abraham's faith and character. Through it all, Abraham learned to trust God's timing, and when the promise was finally fulfilled, it was far greater than anything he could have imagined. In our own lives, closed doors are not the end of the story. They are part of the journey that prepares us for the blessings God has planned. They teach us to wait with faith, to grow in character, and to trust that his timing is always perfect. The delay isn't denial, it's divine preparation. When we encounter delays in life, it's easy to feel like we're being overlooked or forgotten. We start to wonder why things aren't happening as quickly as we hoped. But what if the delay is not a sign that God has said no, but instead a sign that he's working behind the scenes to prepare you for what's ahead? God uses delays to mold us, to strengthen us, and to get us ready for the opportunities and blessings he has in store. A delay is often God's way of protecting us from stepping into something prematurely. Sometimes we're eager to move forward, but we're not yet ready to handle what's on the other side. The weight of a blessing can be too much if we haven't developed the character, skills, or maturity needed to sustain it. Just like a builder takes time to lay a solid foundation before constructing a tall building, God takes time to prepare us for the heights he's calling us to. Without that preparation, the blessing might overwhelm us or even crumble under pressure. God's timing is always purposeful. He doesn't delay to frustrate us or keep us waiting without reason. Each moment of delay is part of a process that's refining you and shaping you into the person you need to become. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams of leadership as a young man, but he wasn't ready to fulfill those dreams immediately. The years he spent in slavery and prison were not wasted. They were seasons of preparation. During those delays, God was developing Joseph's character, teaching him wisdom, and positioning him for the role he would one day fulfill as second in command over Egypt. Sometimes the delay isn't just about you, it's about the timing of everything else around you. God is orchestrating circumstances, aligning people, and preparing the environment for your arrival. You might feel ready to step into your purpose, but what if the door you're meant to walk through isn't ready yet? God sees the entire picture. He knows when the right opportunity, the right relationship, or the right moment will align perfectly with his plan for your life. Delays are also a test of faith and trust. They challenge us to hold on to God's promises even when we can't see progress. It's easy to believe when things are moving quickly, but true faith is built in the waiting. During these seasons, God is teaching us patience and perseverance, reminding us to lean on him and not on our own understanding. Each day of waiting strengthens our faith muscles and prepares us to handle the blessings with gratitude and humility. When you're in a season of delay, it's important to shift your perspective. Instead of focusing on what hasn't happened yet, focus on what God is doing in you during the waiting. Delays are opportunities for growth, for learning, and for developing a deeper relationship with him. They're not signs of rejection, but evidence of his care and intentionality, preparing you for what's next. When one door shuts, God's already opening a better one. Trust him. It's easy to feel defeated when a door closes. Whether it's a missed opportunity, a failed relationship, or an unexpected change, closed doors can leave us questioning our path. But with God, a closed door is never the end. It's a transition point, a way of saying, I have something better in store for you. While we may only see the closed door in front of us, God is already working behind the scenes to open a door that leads to greater blessings, greater purpose, and greater fulfillment. God never leaves you stranded when a door closes. He's always one step ahead, preparing the way for the next season of your life. Sometimes the closed door isn't even about the opportunity itself, it's about the direction it was taking you. That door might have led to something that wasn't part of God's plan for you. It might have looked good in the moment, but God knew it wasn't his best for your future. He closes doors to protect us from settling for less than what he has designed for our lives. Think about Ruth in the Bible. When her husband died, it must have felt like every door had closed. She left her home, her family, and everything she knew. But that closed door wasn't the end of her story. God was already opening a better door through Boaz, leading her into a life of purpose and blessing she could have never imagined. What looked like loss was actually the beginning of a divine setup for something greater. Sometimes the better door God is opening requires a shift in your perspective. You might be so focused on the door that closed that you don't notice the new opportunities he's placing before you. It's easy to dwell on what didn't work out, but when you trust God, you can let go of the past and look forward to what's ahead. The closed door isn't a failure, it's a step towards something better. God never takes something away without the intention of replacing it with something greater. God's better door often leads to unexpected blessings. It might take you on a path you didn't plan for or bring opportunities you never thought possible. The better door may not look the way you envisioned, but it will always align with God's perfect plan for your life. He knows your needs better than you do, and his ways are higher than ours. When you trust him, you can walk in confidence knowing that he's leading you to something that exceeds your expectations. The journey to the better door often requires faith, patience, and obedience. Sometimes there's a waiting period between the closed door and the claimant, and it's in that waiting that God prepares you. He teaches you to trust him even when you can't see the full picture. That trust is what allows you to step through the new door with boldness and joy, ready to embrace the blessings he has prepared for you. Conclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, closed doors are not the end. They are transitions, redirections, and divine setups for something greater. When God shuts a door, it's because he has a better plan, a higher purpose, and a perfect timing that we may not yet understand. Each closed door is an opportunity to grow, to trust, and to prepare for what's next. Remember, God's no is never a rejection, but a redirection. His delays are not Daniel's, but preparation, and his plans always lead to blessings beyond what we can imagine. So don't be discouraged by the doors that close in your life. Instead, lift your eyes with faith, knowing that God is already opening new ones that will bring you peace, fulfillment, and purpose in ways that exceed your greatest expectations. Trust him, for he is faithful, and his plans for you are always good.